What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Sonny here, and coming at you guys with my CW build. A quick disclaimer: this is not the end all be all CW builds out there. This is just kind of the way I play mine. I do some decent amount of DPS. Am I the king over here on PC in the CW world? No, absolutely not. There's a bunch of things, and I will list them as I go through that you can have and get that will, substantially increase your DPS. So without further ado, let's just jump into it, okay? I'm gonna go through all the gear first, kind of get that out of the way. And if I do miss something, I do apologize. It's been a hot minute since I've made like an actual video. So this is kind of like exciting for me, to be honest with you guys. It sounds a little weird, but yeah, here we go. Utilities. I use darks. Darks are no brainer in the utility. They do give a little bit of extra forte, so why not get a little bit of extra stats still? You can use tacticals for incoming healing to kind of offset the iron rusted leggings, but to be honest, the incoming healing reduction on a DPS class isn't as substantial as it was previously. You know what I'm saying? Whereas in, I forget what dungeon it was. No, Tom, I believe. Some people didn't want you using these because of the negative impact it had. Anymore, I don't think it's that, substantial, even though it says 25%. We're still positive. Even though it says other contributions minus 22%. So I think we're positive 12.7. So we're still positive, which is good. So no negative stats here. For the arms, we got the Lion Guards from IC. You can get these from Redeem Citadel as well, from the Zerial Favor tokens. They both do the same thing. They're going to give you 5k power. You can get this from Jumba Bags. This chest piece, again, will give you another 5,000 power. And then this headpiece right here from IC will give you 5,000 power. So essentially, I'm getting 15,000 power from these three pieces of gear right here, which is pretty crazy. Just to show you guys real quick, when I hit my target, my power does become capped at the 5 stacks. I do know that it's actually overcapped by 3,000. So at 2 stacks of my chest piece, essentially, is when I am capped out on power, which is good for now. As I increase my item level and stuff like that and things of that nature, it will go up. So I'm not too worried about it as it stands now. We're going to go over, my armor enchantment. I use the negation, but to be honest, you can use the Bard Shield, you can use the Blood Theft. It's kind of to each their own. It's just more what you can afford at the time of the recording of this video. And as you progress throughout your Neverwinter career, you will be able to afford the more luxurious items in the game. For the weapon enchantment, I stick with the Vorpal. The Balfour and the Lightning are, the kings of Neverwinter, AoE, and then single target. I'm too cheap, and the prices on them are just outrageous, and the price to build it is just outrageous here on PC. So I'm just going to take a step back and just use the Vorpal. It does give me 4% crit strike and critical severity, which I will not complain about. And it still gives you the 8% bonus damage as Arcane, and it's roughly like 5.2 million. Vorpal has still always been just like a very good enchantment throughout Neverwinter, even though it's sustained a nice nerf to it from previous back in the day when it was king. It's still not a bad supplement. Of course, like I said, you're guaranteed probably to do more damage with the Biothorn and Vorpal, but it's also double the amount of the Vorpal too. You get what I'm saying? So it's to each their own. If you can afford it, you buy it. If not, you make ends meet. For the offhand and main hand, I personally go with the Stronghold set. I love the Stronghold set. I think it's really slept on, and I wish more people would use it. But unfortunately, through all my time playing, it's very rare that I'll see somebody else using it. But it does give 2% outgoing damage, 2% outgoing healing, and a 2%, decrease to damage taken. And this stacks to everybody. So everybody in the group is getting 2% damage. Everybody in the group is getting that 2% outgoing healing. So that benefits the healers, that benefits the DPS, and that benefits the tank out there. So it's really a win-win, and you can stack this to all 5 people on your group to exceed a maximum of 10%, which is pretty crazy. I haven't had a full group to use this yet, so I don't know like how much, bang for your buck you're really going to get at 10%. The most I've gotten is 4%, and that's when me and my uncle run. And, I can definitely notice a difference, and he can notice a difference when I'm running with him, that it does increase. Now, I'm not the wizard of the math and everything. I don't know how much more damage you get from the Mirage and everybody running Mirage over everybody running Stronghold. If you already know the answer to that, I mean, I know for sure it does more damage, but you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not always about individual, in my opinion, in Neverwinter. Yes, you're playing on your toon, but if I can more or less help out the group as a whole, rather than just a little bit more DPS, I'd rather just take that cut. For the boost, like I was talking about, the Iron Rusted Leggings for the 5% extra damage. For the pants, the Velvet Pants, you can get these off the auction house for cheap, but these pretty much essentially whenever you critical strike, you get some action point gain back, which is pretty nice on the CW. Getting your AP back is awesome. For the shirt, I have the Charge Fury. Essentially, when your stamina is over 75%, I just do 3% more damage. There is this shirt right here that will also give you AP. I ran this a little bit. I prefer the 3% damage overall. I think I personally do more damage with it, so I have kept it on. For the artifact set, I use the Sparkling Fey emblem set, the Trickster's Gift. Essentially, you do 10% more damage between the difference of your hit points and the target, so not bad at all. There's the Lost Mount set still out there. There's the Music Box set out there. I see pretty much a variety of different sets being run. I kind of put my feet on this one here personally, and I'm enjoying it. I'm still doing a little bit of testing with it and seeing, like, it's definitely better than a Lost Mount in my opinion, from my kind of perspective. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say everybody's experience in Neverwinter is different. If you're at a different level, maybe the Lost Mount set is better. But maybe if you're at another level in your career, maybe the Sparkling Fey emblem is better. You get what I mean? I use the 3-piece Heart of the Dragon set. Now, maybe you didn't know that if you do use 3-piece of these, you get a 10% reduction to, well, an increase to recharge speed, which is amazing here on the CW. With this build, I really tried to emphasize getting my encounters back because I don't have necessarily all best in slot items. So I have to offset a little bit, and the best way to offset a little bit, because I don't have the 3 journals. If you don't have the 3 journals, you're pretty much, at a handicap already, unfortunately, and the journals are like almost 4 million a piece here on PC. So I'm not spending, 12 million for artifacts. That's just outrageous. But this is not a bad at all supplement. Like I said, you can pick any of the 3 out of the 5. It just comes down to which ones are cheaper and which ones give you better stats. I went to go with these ones. You can pick any other. There's the green one and there's also the white one. You don't have to use this set. As you can see, I used to use the staff, the music box. You know what I'm saying? The scepter. But I did notice that I actually perform better with this on. And my recharge speeds obviously come back way quicker. I did not forget, but I did the modifications for my main hand and offhand. I use the critical strike. This is going to be to each their own. Maybe you need power. Maybe you need critical severity, combat advantage. Whatever you need here to kind of get you over the hump, put it on. You know what I'm saying? If you want more help, give yourself more health. If you want power, give yourself more power. Don't just copy my shit down to the T. Your things are going to be different depending on where you're at. Same thing here, recharge speed. I use recharge speed. You can use action point gain. You can use critical severity for a nice little additional 500. You know what I'm saying? Personally, just with my build, I'm trying to emphasize that recharge speed. So technically speaking, this is 10%, and then this is 2.5. That's 12.5% additional reduction. That's how I'm kind of getting these numbers in my head. If that's how it works, in terms of in the game, I really don't know. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not a tester. I'm not the math wizard here. Maybe I'm only getting like 9%. Maybe I'm only getting 8%. I really don't know, because everything in Neverwinter doesn't work as intended. I just want to make that clear. And then for my rings, we go with the sniper perks. Modifications, combat advantage. And for the modifications on the left side, I just use critical strike. I think one of these have critical severity on it. It's just kind of whatever you need. And whatever you're lacking in your stats, you just put them on here on the left side, and on the right side, you can either use, combat advantage, awareness, or stamina gain. You get what I mean? So there's a couple different things you could put here for your consumables. So hopefully I jumped over. Oh, I missed one thing, and that is the ability score. As I was about to leave, I go with Dex and Intelligence. Intelligence is definitely a no-brainer. Magical damage boost and control bonus. And then Dex or Charisma you can kind of go for. You know, I realistically probably should go for Charisma, but on my AoE I do still prefer movement speed just a little bit more, because I'm a big component of, if I can get to the mobs first, I am just going to be able to do more DPS, because essentially I'm using my encounter powers first. You know, sometimes I can get to a mob, kill it before you even get there. Just because I move that much quicker than you. So you definitely don't want to be the last one to the group. Maybe I take that to an extreme, you know, maybe I can like put my points into charisma and maybe my speed won't be noticeably different. But, you know, in terms of things right now, I do keep my AoE loadout in Dex and intelligence. For my powers, they're pretty, you know, standard CW powers, Ray of Frost, Storm Pillar. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the AoE encounters are going to be the same across all C dubs. I use Icy Terrain, Disintegrate. You can use Disintegrate. You can use Lightning Bolt. I personally don't really like Lightning Bolt. I don't see it doing the damage. And it just, when it casts, it's so inconsistent and it just looks so wonky to me that I don't even think it'd be working half the time. So I don't use it personally. But you can use Disintegrate. You can use Entangling Force. You can use Repel. Pretty much essentially any of those kind of one-hitter quitters. I use Seal Time and as well as Arcane Tempest. Just a quick note, don't ever put Arcane Tempest in the tab spot, just because it won't, you know, hit targets at afar. Whereas if you put it, you know, you see how I hit them at the distance? Now, if I put it in the tab, it's going to surround me and only hit, you know, the targets around me necessarily. You get what I mean? So it's more, here, just show you real quick. So now, as if I put it in the tab, it's not going to hit that target. It's only going to hit anybody around me. So you definitely don't want to use that in the tab. Seal of Time is still very inconsistent in the game. It's very hit or miss. You can get it canceled. You can get stunned. You know, sometimes it doesn't proc all the way. It's really a very shitty move, but it's also still one of our best moves. You get what I'm saying? So it's really just a hit or miss here, you know, if the full cast time comes up on it. But if it does hit everything and does what it's supposed to do, it's not bad at all. And we use that in the tab. For our dailies, I use Oppressive Force and Arcane Empowerment. It kind of just depends on the situation of what I'm doing. If I know the mobs are going to die quickly, I'm just going to use Oppressive Force. If I'm seeing like things ain't dying quickly because maybe I'm more got to take the DPS, I'll use Arcane Empowerment, and this will pretty much give us our, you know, encounter powers back to us as quickly as we can spam them. So even in an AoE situation, I do like to use it, especially with this setup of encounters. I mean, you could throw down 2 Icy Terrains. You can, you know, through 2 down, Seal Times, you know, 2 of these. So essentially, you're definitely killing the mobs when you use this daily, you know, if things ain't dying pretty quickly. For class features, I use Invocation and Storm Fury. Storm Spell. Not Storm Fury or Eye of the Storm right here. Now, if you're noticing things are not dying quickly, you know, Invocation can be swapped out for Chilling Presence easily. So if you're realizing that, damn, things ain't dying as quickly as they should be, I am going to, you know, take advantage of my chill stacks on the target, essentially. And that's where, you know, Chilling Presence comes in hand. For the feats, Spell Twisting, Snap Freeze, Chaos Magic, Nightmare Wizardry, and, you know, Elemental Reinforcements are the ones I pick. There's a couple ones that you may be able to switch out, and you'll see here in my single target I do. Chaos Magic and, you know, Ice Lightning. This is a little bit of a toss-up, right? Because your Storm Pillar, Lightning Bolt, Storm Spell, and Storm Fury do 10% more damage to targets affected by chill, which is pretty much essentially all targets. Because, you know, as soon as you drop, you know, your Ray of Frost, your Icy Terrain, they're going to get chilled. So you could essentially double, you know, do 10% more damage with your Storm Spell. And if you do use Lightning Bolt, I maybe would personally use this over Chaos Magic. And Chaos Magic is pretty much just a 5% chance to grant one of these buffs. I don't know the internal cooldown for, you know, this Chaos Magic. It doesn't say, or even if there is one. I assume you can't just keep spamming this every chance you get. So I'm going to assume it definitely has a cooldown. Like I said, tooltips don't always work in Neverwinter. Is it a 5% chance? Is it higher? Like, it's a hit or a miss. It really is. But if you do get it, you definitely want the quick action point gain. Rapid recovery is not bad neither. You know, power surge is probably like the least meh kind of thing out of it. You know, it says you gain 100% increase at will damage, but you know, at wills we ain't really doing too much with at wills personally. You know, they're kind of more just to be there, right? Essentially for when our cooldowns are in a commission. So we can be using our encounter powers and get the cooldown one, the, you know, at will one, and, you know, not even be able to use it for the 5 seconds, just because of the fact is we're using our encounter powers at that time. Boons again, it just depends on how many you have, to each their own. I'm just going to go over a couple that, you know, do make a noticeable difference in my opinion. Marathon runner for sure, using bloodlust for sure, call of power for the action point gain, and personally I would say maybe, you know, I think there's one that actually gives you recharge speed, so quick turnaround. So essentially this is another 4% on top of the 12.5% we have. So that could be great. I mean, our encounter powers could be coming back to us like gravy, essentially, to where we're just constantly using encounters instead of our at wills. You know, you definitely want to always hold down the, you know, your trigger for your at wills, even if you're spamming the encounter powers, because it still pops up every once in a while. It's a little weird that it does, but, you know, we're trying to maximize that DPS, so we might as well just hold it down. Guild boons, I am on, you know, the test server, so you're not going to see, but, you know, you could pick to each their own. I use personally the critical severity one. I use defense, and then I use the mount speed bonus. If you're looking for power, if you're looking for crit trans, you know, even if maybe you're in a guild with not these identical boons to me, that's why I say everybody build isn't going to be identical to mine. It really just depends on your situation, and just making sure you're managing your stats correctly. For my companion, I finally saved up enough money, and, you know, just this weekend that Zuna was in the elite refinement pack, I was able to pick her up for 5 million, which is still a lot of money, but substantially cheaper than, you know, she was before, and she's still worth it. She's #1 for AoE killers, there's no doubt about it. You know, and in terms of my equipment, I use 6 Indomitables just to kind of boost up her DPS. You know, any kind of stat you get from here, other than the 20% damage, you know, in my opinion, doesn't really help me cap my stats, essentially. So I'm more comfortable putting just 6 Indomitables and just maximizing my companion's DPS. For my active ones, it's essentially just stats I need. So these are going to be different for everybody, but this is what I use. I use the Ion Stone, I use the Fawn, the Air, I believe this is, the Mercenary, and the Wayward Wizard. You know, maybe eventually I would switch out the Wayward Wizard at some point, just because he does give me 3.8% defense, and, you know, I'm just trying to look for offensive stats, to be honest. So this one might get switched at some point, but for now it does give the critical severity, so we're going to keep him. Moving on to mounts, this is where another thing that's very, like, up in the air, right? It's either you're going to have them or you're not, so let's just jump into it. The insignia bonus says that I recommend you definitely want, or at least a couple of them, Assassin's Covenant, right? If you're trying to help you increase your stats a little bit, this is going to drop 1,000 to your defense, deflect, critical avoidance, awareness, but you're going to gain accuracy, critical severity, critical strike, combat advantage. So pretty much all offensive stats besides power get 1,000. I'll take that all day. Warlord's Inspiration, 20% more damage for our companion. I'll take that all day long. Combat Maneuvers, 2,500 combat advantage damage for 10 seconds. We'll take that all day long. And then same thing with Gladiator's Guiles here. I'm big on movement speed, and as you guys can see, I'm using 2 of them. Now, this is where things get a little iffy. You can use 2 Warlord's Inspirations. You can use 2 Combat Maneuvers. It really just to each their own. Just know that every time you do use one, it is going to take essentially half of the percentage. So if I use 2 Warlord's Inspirations, I'm going to have 30. If I use 3, I'll have 35. You know what I'm saying? So you just kind of figure out at what point is enough for you, right? You know, maybe using 2 Warlord's Inspiration would give you 30%, but I prefer the movement speed. You know what I'm saying? Because essentially, I'm still big. If I can get to the group first and put out my encounters before you can, I'm going to kill him, and I'm going to get more DPS. I'm gonna jump over. So hopefully I covered everything on the AoE, guys. Like I said, if I did miss something, you know, just let me know down in the comments. I'll pop my potions real quick for you guys, you know, just to kind of show you what my stats could potentially be when I'm in combat. So we're just gonna throw down a couple things here, and then we'll just pop them. As you can see, my power is definitely capped, but that's just because of my chest piece, but not a big deal for me. Our accuracy 47, our combat advantage, you know, just about there. Critical strike and critical severity, you know, so they're all pretty higher upper echelons. Not too bad. They could definitely be improved, but you know, I also do only have rank 9s and stuff like that. So, you know, there's a bunch of things here. That's another thing that I didn't go over. My bad. The, you know, just the offensive and defensive slots. You definitely want one Tenebris. This should be a rank 15 essentially, but this should be definitely one of these. And then the rest is going to be whatever you kind of need, right? Assassins give you the critical strike, accuracy, and combat advantage. But maybe you don't need none of those stats. Maybe you want demonics, maybe you want draconics, maybe you want black ice. Just see what stats you need and then put it to what that is. For defense, I use brutals just for the defense and hit points. So I'm not going to complain about it. To each their own there, right? For single target, my gear doesn't change at all. As you guys can see, I use practically all the same stuff here. The biggest difference with single target is the powers. So I use Repel, Entangle and Force, Ray of Enfeeblement, and then, you know, Disintegrate. Pretty much standard single target AoE shredding, you know, targeting. I use Ice Knife and Arcane Empowerment. 9 times out of 10, I am going to use Arcane Empowerment over Ice Knife. You know, maybe if it's like the Boar Worm and I know he's going to just go down mad quick to where, you know, just even casting Arcane Empowerment wouldn't be really worth it. And I'll just drop the knife on him quickly. So it just depends on the boss, right? If you know he's going to like do something where you just need to drop him quickly, just hit him with the knife. That's why I say 9 times out of 10. I do switch out the invocation for Chilling Presence here because we're on the boss now. You know, we're definitely getting stacks of chill on that. Same thing here, Spell Twisting. Assailing Force. I use Chaos Magic. Striking Advantage. And then here we go. I use a Step Above Mastery. So, you know, the feats do definitely switch up a little bit from AoE to single target. So you definitely want to have 2 different builds if you want to maximize your damage for the wizard. Other than that, the boons are the same. You know, I use Bloodlust, Marathon Runner, Companions. This is where I do switch it up. This should actually be Precision. I was actually just testing something yesterday. But this should be Precision. Same thing with the AoE. I use it on Precision just to increase our critical strike. I use the Mercenary. You can use the Abysmal Chicken if you want. You can use the Zuna if you have it. It really just comes down to what kind of companions you have for a single target. Now, you might be wondering why I have 2 different companions, and that's just because Mercenary does more DPS. Aragon put out a very good like tier list video for single target and AoE companions. If I remember, I'll leave a link in the description. But you could just go on his channel and just look at all his videos. And you can kind of pick from his list, essentially, what you can afford for the best in slot single target. I believe it is the Cold Iron Warrior at the moment of the, you know, recording of this video. But I'm cool with the Mercenary. It does the job. I actually used to use this for both AoE and single target, and it used to do fine for me. But I was finally able to get the Zuna instead. And then same thing with our mounts. They're not really changing. Maybe, you know, I could potentially get rid of these Gladiator Guiles for single target and use like Warlord's Inspiration or another combat maneuvers, just because I'm not really going anywhere in the boss fight essentially, or, you know, need to go anywhere as quickly as AoE. So, you know, I could essentially get more DPS out of these 2. So that could be something you could do that I just thought about now on the single target. But yeah, other than that, I think I covered just about everything, guys. You know, there is a couple things, like I said, that you can get. The Mirage, right, from Cloaked Ascendancy, the Storyteller's Journals, which you can only get from the event that comes around once in a blue moon. And then essentially you can buy them off the auction house, like I said, for 4 million a piece here on PC. Oh, the ability scores too. That is another thing that I switched for my single target as well. This is where I do use intelligence and charisma instead of the dex. Just because I don't need the movement speed as much, and the critical severity. It's a little bit of a boost, but not enough to make me go, oh yeah, I definitely need that for my boss fight. I'd rather get that recharge speed up and, you know, get these encounter powers out as quickly as possible, especially for single target. You know, this is where I try to make up a lot of my DPS, just because AoE, we do get shredded by the rogues and the, you know, the barbarians, just because they swing so damn quick. And even Scorch Warlocks, essentially, you know, wizards kind of take the backseat to AoE. You know, not to say that we can't kill shit, but, you know, we can get caught off guard, essentially, if we don't keep up. And yeah, other than that, guys, hopefully I didn't make this video too long and I explained it well enough. It has been a while since I've made a Neverwinter video, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. And if you are new around here, you know, hit that like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. I can't make any promises as to when my next video will be out, but you never know. I feel like maybe I'll make my Pally build over on Xbox. We'll switch it up. But yeah, you guys let me know down in the comments. You know, there's a bunch of videos I can make. It's just I got to get my lazy ass in gear. But yeah, until next time, guys, as always, it has been your boy Sonny. Y'all take care out there.